Hey everyone, it's Kevin. Welcome back to the channel. So this video is kind of a part 2 to the one that I put out a few weeks ago, which was my first time 3D printing. So I just got my very first 3D printer, which is a Bambu Lab P1S with the AMS, the automatic material system. So that allows for multicolor filament printing, and you don't have to do it manually, and it's been really fun to experiment with it. So in that video I did an entire unboxing to a setup to creating my very first print. So if you want to check out the link, I'll put it below in the description. I've always wanted to do 3D printing, but it's always seemed super intimidating to me just because I feel like there's so much that goes into it, but surprisingly it's just been really fun to figure everything out. In this video, I wanted to try making things that were practical for my office space. Specifically for my plants, there are two things I want to create, which is a trellis and a pot. I've been in and out a lot this month for the summer, so I haven't had a lot of time to experiment. But some of the prints that I did make are, so this benchy, which I guess is the benchmark print. This was really exciting because, this was really exciting because this was my very first 3D printed object that I created myself. So it was really awesome just seeing it kind of materialize as the print was happening. And so after that, I thought about printing a figurine. I found a model on the app that I thought I would try out, and it was this Luffy figurine. This is something that I've kind of been interested in creating with some of my own characters. So I just wanted to see how this was created, and I think it came out pretty awesome. So that kind of opened up my eyes to a ton of other possibilities, and then I created my very first designed 3D print, which was this keychain based off the character Little Maxwell. So Little Maxwell is based off my actual dog Maxwell, and I've done a few animations that you can find on the channel, but since I already had these vector files, I decided to extrude them and convert them into 3D. And then there I was able to take them into the slicer software for the 3D printer and create this keychain. I had this chain lying around, so I was able to connect it, and it just, honestly, I was so proud of this because I never thought that I could create something like this with 3D printing, but it just kind of fueled me to just create more stuff. So after that, I wanted to create something practical, and I created this trellis for this plant. But as I mentioned, this is something that I want to recreate because this plant was actually only like this tall, but it's been growing like crazy for the past few weeks. Like the vines are kind of just getting a little bit unruly, and it definitely needs some support. So one of the things I want to create is maybe a modular trellis so I can continue to add to the trellis as it grows. Then the other thing I tried out was something with filament painting, I guess, with this software called HueForge, and it allows you to create things like this, which you can kind of take a 2D image and then print it out in 3D, which was really awesome. I did try an example earlier, and I thought to design something for myself. So I created this tarot card, and this is based off a character class in the MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. I actually made this for my sister as she plays this class, which is the Dragoon class. And I designed this in Procreate, and then after that I took the design into HueForge, and then I was able to select the colors and how I wanted it to print. This technique was really cool. It's just something that I don't know how to control the color coverage, because if you look at the original design and then you see the end result, they look nothing alike in terms of color. But I was really happy with how this turned out. And I'm starting to understand that it prints in layers, so you can't really, like, even if I worked with 4 colors, I need to be mindful that it'll just print according to whatever like color comes next. And I guess that's how filament printing works in order to get like this width. I hope I explained that correctly. But yeah, this is something that I want to keep doing just because coming from a traditional 2D background, like this is really awesome to see something that I design become something physical or something like textured. So in this video, I'm going to redesign a modular trellis, again, for this guy. And then the next thing that I'm going to make is a pot for this plant. So this plant I've had for a few months now, and it sits right up against the window. But since it's in a clear plastic pot, I have a lot of my plants in clear plastic pots. And the reason is just to monitor the substrate levels, because I don't want to overwater and kill the plant, but because it's in a clear plastic pot and it gets exposed to direct sunlight, there's a lot of algae that's growing on the sides of it. I'm not sure if you can see, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for the plant. It's just, I just don't want it to grow anymore. So in order to mitigate that, all I need is some sort of a cover pot, which I don't have, so I figure maybe I should just design something using 3D printing. So some of the things I've learned since then is that as the printer or the AMS is changing colors, it'll spit out artifacts. So some people have suggested I print out a poop chute to catch it, because it'll split it out from the back and it gets really messy. So I printed out this poop chute, and it's been kind of a lifesaver because all I have to do is just pick it up and then empty it in the trash, and everything is just still neat and organized. Another thing was that I didn't have a stable foundation for the 3D printer. The floor it's on is carpet, but I did have a tile slab that I put down, and then I put the 3D printer on top of it. But the tile slab was actually pretty thin. It didn't really accommodate how big it was. So as it was printing, it would start shaking. So I did run out to Home Depot and I got a bigger slab, and I think it's fine now. It seems to be okay, and my prints are coming out pretty good. But yeah, if it gets worse, I'll probably have to find a better solution for it. The other thing was I was pretty concerned about storing my filaments, because in this room I have quite a lot of plants and I need to keep the humidity above a certain percentage, around like 40 to 60%. And I know that humidity can affect the filaments, and that's why they have desiccant bags there. I guess moisture can warp it. So I've had to find a solution on how to store the ones that I've opened, and I looked online, and I think someone left a comment on the last video, and I just got a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, and I put the filament that I opened in there with its desiccant bag, and I think it's working. So hopefully I can just stick with that and it'll be fine. One thing I really want to nail down today is sizing. I'm not sure how sizing works with 3D printing. A lot of it has kind of just been eyeballing, and obviously that's not going to be good in the long run. I really want to have exact measurements, but this is coming from someone that's completely new to product design from a 3D printing standpoint. I've worked with like manufacturers on other things, but doing it myself is kind of a different experience. So I really want to understand how that works. I know it uses millimeters, but the 3D software I use is Blender 3D, and I'm not sure how to prepare that. So that's something I kind of just want to iron out today. It's probably user error. I just need to figure it out. It's something that I need to learn. But hopefully, as I'm creating the 2 items, the trellis and the pot, I can just figure that out. Anyways, let's get into it. All right, so given this trellis, I wanted to keep a similar design to what I had here. I really like this geometric design, but I just want to be able to have some sort of a top portion that can snap onto it so that I can just keep adding or creating like a middle section and then put the top portion above it. So what I came up with, and I did a really simple drawing. So here I have kind of a similar design, except I have this arch that goes around the diagonal squares. And so I was thinking of having a bottom portion and then a top portion, and they would be connected by these fasteners. Very simple. So it was just kind of like a diagonal peg so that they could just lock in, and then the bottom portion would contain this clasp. I did go on the Bambu app and see how people would create other modular pieces, and that was a technique that I saw that I thought I could implement here. So hopefully it all works, and yeah, we'll see. Okay, it is really hot today, but okay, so I did create kind of this geometric trellis based off the design that I drew. So here I have kind of this arch around these actually 4 triangles. In the original design I only had 3. I want to go with this height, and I'm going to separate these into a top and bottom piece, and then if I want to extend the trellis, I'll create a middle portion that'll connect. But right now I'm going to start creating the portion that has the fasteners that connect the bottom and the top pieces. All right, so I also learned exactly how to set my Blender file just from doing some research. So if you are working in Blender with 3D printing and you're kind of at a point where you're not sure how units work, just very quickly, all you'll need to do is just go to the Scene Properties tab, and with the unit system set to metric, change the unit scale to 0.001. And then I changed the length to millimeters, since that's the units that are used for 3D printing. And then you can work with whatever dimensions you need to, inputting it into these values here, and then it'll convert it accordingly. So that's kind of how I've been doing it, and then exporting it as an STL, and it seems pretty accurate when I take it into the slicer software. So yep, that was a quick fix and something I just needed to learn very quickly. All right, so I did take that design of the trellis that I had, the geometric trellis, and I did add the fasteners on the top of the bottom portion and then the pegs on the top portion. And they should fit exactly, but I'm not sure if this is going to be thick enough to withstand the weight of the plant. So I'm going to try printing the bottom portion first, and we'll see how that is. All right, guys, so I just printed out that bottom portion of the design I showed you, and it seems very flimsy. I don't think it's going to be strong enough as a support for the plant. So I want to add more thickness to the trellis, and then also one of the clasps here just snapped off. It's clearly not going to be strong enough, so I'm going to have to redo this design and yeah, try to make something a little bit thicker. Okay, so here is the new design. I decided to do a 1/4 inch all around for the entire trellis, and I think that'll be good enough to support the plant. And as opposed to 5 clasps, I just decided to do 3 instead. And I made them a little bit larger so that they didn't snap off like in the previous iteration that I had. And hopefully this is going to work out. All right, so it did print out, except that because I had it as separate objects, I did combine them into one in Blender, but when I took it into the slicer software, I guess it's still registered as separate objects. And because of that, all of these pieces kind of broke off from one another. So what I'm gonna do is, I think there's an option inside the slicer software to combine all of the objects in one, or all of the meshes into one. So I'll just need to redo that and then make sure that everything is okay. And yeah, it was just one simple option, and now I was able to print out the bottom and the top. So this is a completed trellis. I think it's actually gonna fit well. So this modular trellis is kind of a success, and I'm pretty excited. So I'm just gonna snap it together right here. So that one went in. And yeah, all of it is connected. This is super awesome. So now I'm gonna take that other one out and then put this new one in. All right, so here is the old trellis. I actually just watered this, so I think in taking it apart, it's gonna be a little messy. Yeah, this plant has grown so quickly. I don't know what. In the beginning, it kind of gave me some trouble was growing really slowly, and then I guess as soon as the summer hit, and it could be the heat, I think it likes the heat, it just exploded. Okay, so I think in this trellis, I also kind of wrapped it around pretty tightly. So I'm gonna try to remove these very carefully. All right, here is the new one. So this definitely looks a lot better. It's a lot bigger. So I'm gonna just carefully put it in the same spot that I had the original trellis in. And I roughly designed it to be the same size, so it should fit accordingly. I'll probably break some roots, but I think it'll be okay. I did hear some roots snap, but hopefully it doesn't damage the plant too much. I'm just gonna wind it all the way up. Generally, when I see a trellis for this, it's usually like a circle. I think that's like the traditional Hoya trellis. I do think the trellis is a little too big for it, but I think it's okay. This, I'm going to just, anything that's hanging, because I don't really want this one to hang as much. So I'm just gonna loop it through as best I can. Obviously, I think a lot of the growth for this plant is concentrated on this side. I think I'll just put this over here. Yeah, and here we go. Yeah, this looks great. So I think the biggest concern is that in putting the trellis inside the pot, I think I destroyed some of the root system. I think it'll be fine. It didn't seem that bad, but hopefully it doesn't really kill the plant. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think the support looks great. It is a little big for the plant, but honestly, I think that's a great thing because it'll be able to accommodate any new growth it's going to have. And considering the growth rate, and hopefully it doesn't slow down, but considering the growth rate, I think it's gonna fill up the trellis pretty quickly. So yeah, I would say that's a successful project. And now on to the next one. All right, so this pot, these pots have been working really well for me. I think this is about a 5.5 inch pot. I do want a cover pot that I can put this in so that it doesn't grow any more algae and it's protected from the direct sun. It's funny because this plant is supposed to not be able to take direct sun, but it seems to love it and it's really thriving and it's actually flowering, which is a great sign. But yeah, I definitely need to protect the bottom part of it. So what I'm gonna do is just take some measurements to make sure that I get it exactly and then start designing. All right, so I do have the measurements for this pot. It's about 4.75 inches in length and then 5.5 inches in diameter. And then I think the base of it actually tapers off and it's about 4 inches. So that is what I'm going to make the pot that I'll design. I was actually contemplating whether or not to make this a self-watering pot, and perhaps that's going to be the next project that I work on. But essentially the self-watering pot is where it'll have like a little water reservoir at the bottom, and then using a wicking system or something, the plant can wick up water so that it consistently keeps the soil moist. But I think I'm just gonna start simply with a regular cover pot, and then if I'm feeling a little bit more daring, then I'll venture into creating something a bit more complicated. So yeah, baby steps. And looking at some of the inspiration for this pot, I feel like there's a lot of directions that I could go. There's so many really cool geometric designs and they all look like something I want to replicate, but yeah, I think I want to try to do a simple design that's not too complex, something where I can, probably just try to build up my confidence in making one. But I don't know, maybe I'll go a little bit more complicated with something more geometric. Kind of want to put a face on it. I don't know. All right, so I'm having a lot of trouble creating this pot. I've gone through various iterations of designs. Initially, I wanted to create something simple, but then I was like, oh, why don't I try to make like some sort of a design that looks toon shaded? So using 4 different colors. And then I wanted to create this rib design around the pot, but I started to get a little too ambitious with that design, and I don't think it was optimized for printing. And then like estimated time was like 3 days, and it just seemed like there were so many filament changes. So I'm gonna try to understand where I went wrong in the design and see if I can kind of cull that timing down. I know that it will probably take a significant amount of time just because the size of the pot is actually pretty big. It's probably one of the bigger prints that I've made so far. So I anticipate it being long, but perhaps not 3 days long. So I'm going to try and figure out a different design, and I'll get back to you all, and hopefully this will end up being a lot better for printing. Okay, so it is the next day. Yesterday when I was designing the pot, I think I got a little too ambitious with what I wanted to do. So I decided to design an entirely new pot and went with something modular. Instead of using 4 different colors for the pot, I opted to just go for 2, and I still have a sort of rib design on it. So here is actually the one of the pieces from it. So I created a pot that is going to be in 2 pieces. So this is the bottom, and right now I'm printing the top, and I also created these holes so that the top piece can fit in. I don't imagine this, since this is just going to be a cover pot, I think this is fine for what the purpose is. I don't intend to hold any water in it. It's just to protect the pot from the sun. So I think it'll be fine for that purpose. But if I'm going to redesign a new pot in the future, something that is a little bit more functional for the plant, then I'll probably have to take that into consideration when creating, the next design. I think this will work. I just wanted to create something modern and contemporary. This is kind of similar to a lot of the geometric abstract references that I was looking at Pinterest, and I think it came out okay. We'll see as soon as I can get the top piece, and then I'll insert it here, and hopefully it'll look good. So I just got that top piece. Here it is. It's a lighter kind of beige color, and here I have the bottom that it's almost like a chocolate brown. So they're gonna stack on top of each other. So we'll see if these pegs can fit into the holes that I made. Hopefully it does. All right, and here's the completed pot. So I just inserted those pegs into the holes. One of the pegs actually broke off because I think it was too thin, so I was actually scared that it wasn't going to fit. But wow, so here it is. The design, has a little bit of an extrusion on the bottom. You can see that there, and then we have the top piece inside. And when you look at it, it kind of does look like a complete pot, so you can't even tell it's modular. So yeah, now the moment of truth is to put the plant inside. All right, so I'm gonna take it out of its pot, put it in here. Whoa, see? It's a little roomy, but you know what? It fits pretty well. I'm very happy with it. Now, I opted to print this in 2 different prints because I think if I printed it all at once, it was going to take, I think, about 2 days or 1 full day. But because I printed it in 2, and I guess there was only 2 filament changes technically, this took a total of, I would say, 14 hours. So this bottom part, I think, took about 5 hours, I want to say, and then the top part took about 9. So I did start printing it last night, and it just finished kind of this mid-morning. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It looks great, and it fits. Yeah, it fits perfectly. I do want to optimize this pot or this design for some other pots that I'll make in the future. I have a couple of other plants that are definitely needing a cover pot as well. So this is a great starting point. And hopefully I can iterate on this and then perhaps make some sort of a self-watering design in the future. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this video was kind of a different format, but I really enjoy creating these vloggy style videos, especially when doing something new like 3D printing. I think it helps me feel like I am making some sort of progress and learning the ins and outs about it. It's been a lot of fun, and with every project I'm learning something new. I think one of the big things I learned from these two projects are optimizing my models for print. So that's something I'm going to try to keep in mind, and with that, I think I can start to create other things that may be of use for me. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to those next few projects, and I'll probably have another 3D printing vlog soon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Thanks again, and see you guys next time.